Hi, my name is Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And joining me once again is the legendary Rayceen Pendarvis.
Greetings and salutations, all. I am so honored and so wonderful and so happy to be joined with the two amazing lights in our community. They are the double team of justice. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their organization.
Yes, good to see you again, Rayceen.
Good to be seen.
My name is Jasmine. This is my husband, Matt, and we are the co-creators of Politidope, Inc. Politidope is an organization that is all about getting our young Black youth involved with politics, learning about what it means to vote before they turn 18. So we snatch them up when they're 13, we stick with them for a few years and just teach them all about civic engagement and why it's so important to vote and why it's so important in their personal lives that they're active citizens.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. That is some amazing stuff. And I mean, this is an election year, so your work is even more meaningful this year than any. And to make it even more meaningful is we're dealing with a lot this year, you know, when it comes to social justice, when it comes to civil rights issues and all of that. So give me a little bit of your background. I know, you know, Jasmine, you started in media, Matt from politics. I mean, I know you've merged this together. Tell me about that and what that journey was like.
Well, so, you know, I just kind of live and breathe it. I watch, like, I'll leave it on TV and Jasmine, you know, like, can we watch something else, you know, for years and years? This is a long running thing. But after the 2016 election, like a lot of people, we were like, we obviously didn't do enough. Like, if we get, you know, we didn't vote for Donald Trump, of course, you know, like I would, you know, wouldn't have done that on my last worst day. But obviously he's a reflection of all of our lack of civic engagement and us doing enough. And so, you know, we decided to merge her talents, which are immense in terms of branding, in terms of like just getting things done. I'm more of a visionary leader, a person who kind of is looking towards, you know, the 30,000 foot view angle. And that's where I come in terms of getting the connections to the candidates or, you know, really being the face of the brand in many ways with my large Twitter following and kind of influencing the influencers and really just trying to push this whole thing forward. Because it's got to be about Black people. We got to, you know, yeah, we're going to vote in large numbers the right way, in a large percentage the right way, but we got to get that number up, the raw number. It can't be what it is. 100% of Black people need to be voting every year.
Every year. And you know, and when you speak about the importance of voting, it's so important that you have gravitated to the youth and get them so when they become of the right age to register, they know why it is important to register and register in the primaries, why the primaries are so important.
Yes, because the thing is, there are so many who don't vote in the primaries, the special, all the local elections. And I mean, those are important. Those are so important because those affect you even more directly than when you get to the general. Voting in those makes it much easier for you to be able to select who you should within the general. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So, as you've spoken about, this year is a pivotal one. Tell me what you guys have been doing, you know, this year to prepare everybody else, what the organization, how has it been since we've all been shut down? What's that been like?
Yeah, so this year, actually, we plan to have our first cohort of kids, right? It was supposed to be our first launch of the Politidope Emerging Leaders program, but then coronavirus happened, kids aren't in school anymore. It's up in the air whether they're gonna go back to school, whether they're still gonna be doing online learning. And so we just had to pivot, right? And now it's like, okay, we're still gonna somehow engage with these kids, but right now we need to make sure that everyone is getting registered to vote. And I think, you know, unfortunately, the circumstances have really brought to light that, yes, presidential elections are important, but so are your local officials, like you guys were saying. You know, if we want police reform, we need to know do people know who their congressman is? Do they know who their state representative is? Do they know who their mayor is? Like, some people don't even know. And so this has given us the opportunity to bring it down to a level now for people to really understand why we're doing what we're doing. And so when we say, you know, only a certain percentage of young people are turning out in the election, now people are connecting that with, wow, we need to get that percentage up because we want to see change. And so we've just really been trying to push that out. We're thinking about, you know, if we can't necessarily go and knock doors and interact with people, what are new ways that we can do online voter registration and things like that, and get people still excited and engaged, and pull in those people who may not have been planning to vote or don't even know that they need to register. Just ways to still connect while we're still, you know, in the house.
And I will say, you know, a lot of people are late to the party in terms of seeing the current events in this country are really shining a spotlight on the need for political change in a way. It opens the street up a little more. You know, this was a 2-lane highway. Now we're rocking and rolling, you know. Now it kind of smooths the path. People are understanding, oh yeah, people are more receptive. People are more like, that argument that nothing matters is kind of like dulled down to a degree now. It's like, whoa, people got their knee on the neck.
Right.
You know,
definitely. I mean, literally and figuratively. And knees are our necks. Knees are our necks. And the way how to change that is, you know, a lot of different things. But one of those integral ways is the power that we have to vote. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, when I look at you, you know, the first time I met you, I looked and said, they're so young to be so out there and so passionate. And they have these old souls. Who fueled you two, and when was that moment where you said, I'm woke?
You want to go?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I come from a military family. My mom made sure she voted in every election. So growing up, I always saw that my mom was like, all right, I got to vote before work this morning. Like, I'm putting on my I voted sticker. And then, you know, my grandfather, he ran for like councilman in New Jersey. And so my family has been pretty active. I think the moment though, where it really flipped a switch was just seeing like your family. So I would talk to my family and they would say things like, oh, my vote doesn't count, or things like that. And it really hurt me because, like, for me, I could see the connection between politics and personal life. I could see how politics impacts healthcare and education, and like, why is my school the Black school, and like, why does my school not have the best resources? And so like, I was able to make that connection, but it hurt me to see that like some of my family members didn't believe in the system or felt like the system was broken and it wasn't for them. And I think that was the moment where I was like, you know what, I'm going to change that. Like, I'm not going to roll over and just accept that the system is broken and there's nothing that I can do. Like, I'm going to make sure that at least I can look out for my family members until they wake up and look out for themselves. So I think that was a moment where I really wanted to, I knew that I had to do more. Like Matt said, like, we had to do more.
And mine came like, I voted for Obama in 2008, like pretty much everybody in the grandmama. Like, it was just, you had to vote for Obama. It was like, that was the first election actually I was legally allowed to vote in. But like, I'm like a lot of people right after that, I just dropped off. Like, okay, he got inaugurated. Let me go get a t-shirt. Let me get a refrigerator magnet. And, you know, I just dropped off. But like around my junior year of college, I started like really hearing even, you know, because I got into I always, like I tell people, everybody has a political opinion. Like, so you'll discuss things that have political undertones, but you don't understand you're talking Democrat or Republican. And I really connected my life experiences with Barack Obama. I saw the way he was mistreated in terms of the birth certificate. And like, you know, all of us make bad policy decisions. So at the end of the day, like, yes, nobody's going to say Obama was like 100%, but it was clear that that man was mistreated and that this country did not, a lot of people in this country did not give him a fair shot. And I really connected that to like all the struggles that I've had to go through to, you know, especially as a biracial person who you have to take, sometimes you have to take arrows from the African-American community who says, you know, you're not Black enough, or, you know, why you know how to, you know, like why
even
you
the dog agrees with you.
So I really connected that, and I really realized that the way that we change those things is, yes, on election days, but politics is a lot bigger than just elections. Like, these discussions we're having right now, that's politics.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Definitely, definitely. And I mean, speaking of election day, we have a general coming up. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you want to see? What is your hope? Not necessarily for the outcome, but what do you want to see people doing? What is your hope for that? How are you viewing this very pivotal general election?
I think obviously we got to stay vigilant. So if we beat Trump by 10%, that's not enough. We beat him by 20%, it's not enough. In terms of in the Electoral College, you beat him by 150. That's the kind of mentality that you have to maintain. And like as an athlete by trade, you need to teach your kids that kind of thing. Is like, yeah, we're up right now, but you fall asleep and pass the ball in. They hit a couple threes. This is youth basketball. You're not scoring a lot of points. It's the same kind of thing with politics. Is like, so I want to see Joe Biden win. He needs to win. And we need to continue to push him and other, the Democratic Party to stand up for what's real, not just achieve power just for the sake of having power. And you guys just had a second to meet Benny, who's the Beagle.
Benny.
Well, that's what I hope to see. What about you?
Is Benny registered to vote?
Good. We observe all election laws here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I want to see record turnout. We turned out for Obama. I want to see us turn out now to take control of this country and move it in the direction that we want to see it go. I mean, I think people can't afford to stay home. I think we got comfortable in 2016. We thought that, if we stay home, it's going to move without us, right? Like Hillary Clinton's got it hands down. Like we don't need to show up. And like, what I want to see is people really take it seriously. I want to see those young people who are just turning 18 showing up at the polls, because I want to see America be the country that I believe that it is, right? Like that I think that it is. And so the only way that that can happen is if people show up and if people feel that fire inside of them too. So that would be success for me.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, let us know, how can people follow you guys? How can people keep up with the organization? Give us also how people can sign up to vote and do all of that. Plug everything.
Yes. So follow the organization on Instagram at Politidope Inc. So it's POLITIDOPEINC. Politidope Inc. That's where we post all of our voter registration information, voter registration deadlines, things that we're just doing in the community so that people can be aware. And then Matt?
So you can follow me on Twitter and know every poll, every twisted turn of everything, at POLITIDOPE. Also, get yourself registered to vote. All 50 states. I could tell you Virginia's, but then it wouldn't matter for you. Go to vote.org. Vote.org. Vote.org.
Registering to vote takes, I swear, 5 minutes. Like, you'd be surprised how quick it is. And that is the first barrier to becoming a voter. Like, they throw out these registration deadlines that are like 30 days before the election. So if you change your mind a week before the election and you're like, oh, wait, I do need to vote, it's too late. You already missed the deadline. So please look up the deadline in your state. Make sure you know the deadline. Make sure you register before it passes so that you can be ready to go.
And one more thing, because voter suppression in this country is real, and people want to make sure that even if you want to vote, that you can't use it. So what you need to do is make sure that you check your voter registration periodically throughout this year, because there are states like the state of Georgia who are using fraudulent ideas called cross-check and others like that to, if you've been inactive, if you didn't vote, they will, take you off the rolls and say you're right to vote. You didn't use it, so you lose it. We never have that with the Second Amendment, but
and if your vote didn't count, they wouldn't be trying to stop you from voting. So
that is true. That is true. Guys, I mean, you guys are doing really, really amazing things. Thanks for what you're doing for the community. Thanks for what you're doing for our youth. Thank you guys for what you're doing for this country. And thank you guys for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Be back. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
And most of all, thank you for watching.